Good evening and welcome to the Township of North Duncan's Council meeting for November 7th. Members of the public have been provided with the following methods to watch and or participate in this open meeting electronically. Attend the Township office located at 2958 Greenfield Road, Dumfriesville. Watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. Attend electronically to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. And finally, you can submit written comments to the Clerk's Division that have been provided to the Mayor and Council prior to the meeting and will form part of the official record. I'd now like to call the meeting to order and can I have approval of the agenda, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rollman, that Council adopt the November 7th, 2022 Council agenda as presented.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. And now I'd like to do the Indigenous Territory Acknowledgement. We acknowledge that on the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe neutral. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land. Today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of Canada. And now I'm going to ask us all to pause as we reflect on what's happened in the past, how we're growing and learning together today, so we can walk together in a stronger Canada. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Delegations, Laura Gattier for the Air Porch Fest regarding the 2023 Air Porch Fest event. Now on the podium, please, and I believe the presentations are for you.
Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Gauthier. I am a resident business owner, volunteer, and event planner in the Village of Ayr since 2010. I've been involved in a lot of community events, and particularly through the pandemic as our community was shut in. It has been my observation that now that we have come to the other side, hopefully, of that situation, that our community is really in need of opportunities to connect. And since I'm a bit of a music junkie and I have a little bit of free time, I thought maybe that I could create a music and arts festival that would really recognize the creative abilities of people within Ayr and in our region, to bring together our friends and neighbors to have 8 hours of fun and music. You're probably asking, what is a Porch Fest? Porch Fests are annual events that are done all over the United States and Canada, probably all over the world. They started in Ithaca, New York, where all the in 2007. Started out as 20 performers and have now grown to over 100. There are other Porch Fests that happen in our local areas, such as the Gulf Porch Fest, Corner Ave Porch Party, Schneider Creek Porch Party, and the Preston Porch Party, to name a few. Several of those are supported by their city councilors and sponsors to help the events come to be. I have linked on here the websites if they are available for the other events if you want to further. The vision for Ayr Porch Fest for this year is to have 10 or more porch hosts. Currently, we are sitting 6 dedicated households that would like to participate, 20 musicians, of which I have 10 booked already, For movement artists, which I consider yoga, dance, other things like that, currently we are at 3 booked for that. And 10 visual artists or makers from the community create beautiful things for people to purchase in the community. I'd also love to see some food trucks at the event. We have the opportunity, since we're using people's porches and driveways, to also play some lawn games. I have a DJ who would love to throw a little street party at the end for people to dance along and connect to. And I would like to do this ongoingly at least once a year. Currently for this year, for June 24th, we're looking at doing this event on my block of Hilltop where I live. The little check mark, the big arrow beside that is a blue check mark. That's my home. I live 3 doors up from Hilltop Corner Park, which doesn't have a real name. And my neighbors, you can see in blue check marks, are committed to being part of this festival, Porch Fest. And the ones in green are currently considering. One of those green has switched over to blue in the last 4 hours as well. We would like to use Hilltop Corner Park. That's where we would like food trucks, the visual art vendors. We could do yoga in the park there. We could have drumming circles. We could have kids' crafts areas. We could do lots of things in there. In using the park and opening this up to more than just a music festival, we're looking for more people to attend. And because of more people, we think maybe having porta potties and hand wash station is a good idea, especially for homes cleaning them. In doing this, we also think that it's probably a good idea to close the corner for the event to traffic. So that patrons and people coming to the event, as well as the people living there, can stay safe and not have to worry about traffic coming through the area during events. So far, the actions on this vision have been that we have had some branding done. We've had the logo created, made a website, purchased and published. We have a social media account that's got over 400 followers. We only have, as of 7 posts. And it's been fairly interactive. I have commitments from 6 hosts to be designated areas, and we have pending. We have commitments from 10 musicians or bands, 3 movement artists now, and 1 DJ. And we have a growing list of interested volunteers who are particularly interested in the live music aspects, because it's something that volunteers haven't been actively able to do at any events recently. Our intention for this event is completely nonprofit. There's no money besides what I've already paid going in. We hope that we have community sponsors to help it go. We'll be offering a community partnership tiered opportunity for gold, silver, bronze level sponsorship. We'll also be offering an adopt an artist donation where donors can donate an amount of money that will be paid to the artists, because nobody plays for free at Porch Fest. The idea is that we're recognizing musicians as people who are worthy of making money. So in light of how we were shut in for 2 years, them especially have not been able to earn their income. So we're helping show their worth. We also have branded merchandise that we are already pre-selling for the event, t-shirts such as this. It'll be this color though. And on the back, we will be listing it like a concert t-shirt that lists all of the artists that participated in the event, and it will become hopefully something of a collector's item. I will be hosting various online fundraising events that I've done before for other things in the community. I'm confident in how much I can raise for each of those based on how lovely our community is. And then of course, there'll be more ideas and partnerships coming as I connect with the various breweries and restaurants and other things that are going on in town. I believe that we will have some opportunity to do some extra pre-events to help fund this event. What is anticipated, so first, before we get to that, just to do the music on people's porches, which will actually be driveways because nobody on that block has a big porch, does not need any intervention from the township. can run that event without anybody, without any extras, without the road being closed, really. But I think we have an opportunity to really enhance this event by adding the visual artists, by adding the dance opportunities, the drum circles, the food trucks, and in order to do that, we need the park. In order to use the park, my understanding is that costs money. So I'm here today to ask the township if they would consider, in return for a sponsorship, the lead sponsorship for the event, waiving the fees that would be involved in using the park. So I went through the very deep parts of the bylaws of the website and tried to suss out what the cost would be. And it's, as I've listed here, you can see that it's looking like it's over $6,000 to use that park and get the road closed at each end, which is beyond my means as a mom. I'm wondering if the township would consider, given that this is the first time for this event and that our town really needs to get together and connect, that it's a new community cultural event, don't have a ton of in this community, that perhaps they would waive fees so that we can have this event become something awesome. There are some other anticipated fees that would be on my end that I would need to fundraise for, which would be the porta potty rentals, because we don't have porches necessarily to use because we have tiny porches on that part of the hilltop. We would need to rent or buy the 10 by 10 tents, just to ensure the sunshine on that part of the street is insane at the end of the day. I can't even sit on my porch with some kind of shade. So we need to ensure that our artists are protected that way. The website costs, the payment towards the artists, as I said, nobody plays for free at Porch Fest, so we need to recognize them financially for the work that they do. I have surveyed the artists that we have currently on roster, all of which state that their usual per hour fee is between $100 and $200. So breaking the difference is $50 each. That would be per musician. So if there's 4 people in the band, that could be a $400 hour for us. Some of the musicians are willing to flex on that a little bit, given that it is the first year, that it is a Porch Fest, that it is, you know, they're not in a nightclub playing. So I will definitely be working with them to find a price that they feel recognized by, but that isn't going to put us unable to pay. We've already paid for branding and logoing. Merchandise, I mean, we're going to sell the t-shirts, but first we have to buy them and print them, which is an upfront cost. There's banking fees associated, there's advertising that will be done, and then there's also signage that we put up for each porch host property, so people can see who's playing and when at their house. With that, my estimation, which is a guesstimate at this point, is at least $10,000. So on top of the 6,000 something that will already cost us just to use the park. My ask, I don't know what my time is right now, but is for these 9 things that really are just one thing. Can we use the park? Can we have food trucks? Can we get picnic tables? Like those sorts of things. So I'll go through them one at a time. The approval to use the park. One is Hilltop Corner Park. And sorry, the first one is approval to close Hilltop Corner from noon to 9 p.m. on June 24th. From Howard Marshall, the Howard Marshall Challenger, like it's the same street, they cut each other off. Approve the use of the park on June 24th. Approve the booking of 3 food trucks in the park and waive the extra fee. I understand that they're still going to need to have their public health inspection and everything they normally would have, but I understand that the township has an extra fee that they charge, which has been discouraging to food trucks to come here because of. If we could get that fee, amazing. The approval of placement of 3 porta potties and a hand washing station, I would organize that, but of course I need permission to do it. The approval of placement of at least 3 picnic tables in the park so people can enjoy the food that hopefully they can buy from the food trucks. The approval and placement and removal of extra garbage bins. Currently in that park, there is one of those tiny pole garbages. And don't see anything else in there, so we would have a garbage issue if we didn't have more garbage cans, please. Approval to allow the artisan market to have their own tents posted. I did see somewhere that there is a fee to have that up. I'd love for that to be waived as well. Our artists have suffered tremendously, and that extra fee would be detriment to them attending. Waiving any additional fees or insurances or permits associated with the event. And in return, you would be listed as a sponsor of the lead sponsor of the Airport Trust event. That I think is all. My apologies, I haven't.
You did a great job. Thank you, Bob.
I haven't made one of those that I really love that.
Councilors, any questions? Councilor Austin.
I love the logo. It's very nice.
It was created by an air graphic designer.
One question, you said the tents that you want the fee waived for, how big are those tents?
So I'm not asking for tents. I'm asking, my understanding is that a person who erects a tent at an event in air has to pay an insurance fee or something to the township. I could be wrong. That could be old news. I'm not sure. Their tents would be 10 by 10, just a usual market tent.
If we allow a tent to go up, we become liable. It's our responsibility because we've permitted that to happen. So there is a liability.
So if somebody wants to erect a $149 10 by 10 tent, charge $285 10.
Not if they're doing it on their own personal property for their own personal reasons, but when they want to host an event and they want to involve the township, then it becomes a legal cost. CAO McNeely will correct me.
Madam Mayor, the tent fee, Ms. Gauthier has identified is where a building permit is required, and those are for large canopy tents.
That's what I.
Okay,
That makes way more sense.
so these 10 by 10 type, 10 by 12 type tents, pop-up tents, you saw them at the farmer's market. There is no building permit applicable for those.
I knew I was wrong. Thank you, CAO McNeely.
So that one's a playhead.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was wondering, because every time we host event, any kind of event, then there's shelter tents up everywhere, and I've never heard of a $285 fee for that. The other thing is, how long does each musician play, and are they single performers or are they groups?
So if we book those 8 hours, the idea is that depending, it will basically be, if I only have 10 artists, then they will each get 45 minutes. If I have 20 artists, they can play for half an hour. Some artists might be youth who know 3 songs and they just want to play their 3 songs. Some might be, township band that wants to play, that takes a while to set up and wants to play some
What if
series of music and they want an hour. So it will be up to the artists as to how much time they need. I don't anticipate booking more than an hour for any one band. And it is currently, most of the people that are booked are duos or trios. There is one band who is 4 or 5 people who have given a price tag that I think is beyond our means.
My only concern is that if you're only giving them an hour, it's gonna take an hour and a half to set up to do an hour set.
So the idea is that most of it's generally acoustic or with the small amps that you would see. So if you look at your music in the park festivals that or events that you've had down at Centennial Park, I attended the one with Ella Ruth. She brought an amp, or she brought a speaker and her guitar and mics, or you guys supplied that one together. That would be the same sort of thing. All artists are expected to bring everything they need. The porch host offers their plugs to plug in, and I put up a tent for them to stand up. So I would anticipate that most musicians are not going to bring their full drum set or their full kits that they would use at a regular nightclub or bar.
My last question, I guess directed at Andrew. To use the small park up at Hilltop, is that a $2,000 a day fee?
So Madam Mayor, through Councillor Oster, we've suggested in the draft resolution that staff come back with a report in December related to the logistics, because I think there's some elements that don't require as extensive a briefing as outlined by Mrs. Gauthier. And so staff would like to narrow her list of what would actually be required in terms of permits, approvals, and we've used the word logistics.
Thank you.
I think that park is about as old as my residency here. I don't think it's ever been used for anything other than kids playing on the playground. So this is kind of a precedent. I don't think it's ever used, so.
Any other questions, councilors? Council Rowland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Ms. Gauthier. The Golf Porch Fest was pretty successful. I thought it worked really well. So I'm really excited about having this in air, as you know. When we talked originally, we weren't talking about closing the street.
Yeah.
So we're talking about putting the food trucks in the parkette. But now that the street's closed, maybe it makes more sense to put the food trucks on the street and just have the park as picnic tables. People can sit there and eat, and you're not technically renting the park that way. And the truck can just be on the street. Just a thought.
I'm
just a thought, you know.
open to any ideas in terms of that. My concern is the fire lane and ensuring that if we do nothing technically on the street, that we don't ever have to worry about a fire access. I have no idea how many people are going to show up or how much time they're going to spend standing on the street. So that was my only concern. I'm happy to allow, there's a nice big corner kind of across the street from the park that we could definitely park 3 food trucks on there. Again, that still needs permission from council to do.
So I think the resolution covers all this off, as staff will work with Laura and in regards to this and come up with possibly a really economical plan.
I think that would be fantastic. I know my partner Jeff and I have gone to almost all of our neighbors from door to door, and everybody's super excited. They want to get out of their house. They want to, you know, we've had a lot of changeover during COVID, neighbors who have met nobody in here, and that breaks my heart to know that we have this fabulous community that loves to do things together, and we just, inertia has not started again yet. I don't feel, and they're very excited for this opportunity. Neighbors.
So if there's no further questions, Council Rowland.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just to you again, Laura. Do you see a time in the future when we can expand this to other neighborhoods? You know, like say, North River Way, Douglas Park, or
Sure.
Piper Street, you know, wherever.
Other
parts of Cougar Street where the mayor lives, you know, like.
So if we look at what Gulf and Preston did last year, which there's lots of social media around that, they have websites, well, Gulf has Preston. Their porch fests, and this is sort of where my thoughts started on this. And then the logistics kicked in, and I was like, I can't be all over town all the time, so I'm gonna keep it near me, is that it could be. And my intention is to create sort of like how to grow a porch fest file, where if North River Way was like, we want to do this at Douglas Park or near Douglas Park. Another time of the year that it's hand in, this is how you do it, this is who you talk to at the township, this is. And so it could happen every weekend. I would love that. I hate leaving town to go see live music, but it is something that is transferable. I have on the website currently, it says the first and last weekends of the summer is when I would like to do this. I realize that that's big and that I should focus on this one and then see where that goes in terms of getting a second and then again next year. This is, you know, we're dipping our toe into water that's new. There is like International Porch Fest Day is the last Saturday of August. That is something that you as the town can put in a tourism sort of aspect of, you know, this is happening, something we do every year in air, hoping. So this can be quite a big thing. It can happen on any neighborhood. It's the city of Kitchener actually has, because they host a couple of them, they have a workbook, I guess you can call it, that's available online. My neighbor works for the city of Kitchener and told me right away about how to throw a porch cart. So I've thumbed through that. Gotta be honest, I'm a little busy right now with my 4 jobs, but I've thumbed through that and I really would like to get the wheels moving in January, get the donor sponsorship stuff up and running, but I couldn't really do anything until we had this conversation about, can I use the park? And if I can, it's gonna cost me, so I know what I need to fundraise. So, that's where we're at, and I'm excited. I think music and dance and arts is something that doesn't get a lot of spotlight in our community, unfortunately. I know there's some people on this panel that are involved in the music scene and would love to get out and play more and see more and do more. I'm one of those people as well. I am not a musician. I have zero musical talent, but I have playing ability. So
Okay, thank you. There's no further questions. Can I have the motion, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Osner, that the delegation of Laura Gauthier Air 2023 Porch Fest be received with thanks, and that staff meet with Ms. Gauthier and return with a report to council on the logistics associated with the June 2023 Porch Fest event. And that Air 2023 Porch Fest be encouraged to submit a community grant application for consideration as part of the 2023 budget process.
May I ask Christina, when are the grants to be in?
At this point, we are just opening the community grants, so we have not received anything else at this point.
Is there a final date for them to be in?
December 31st.
December 31st. Okay, and staff, you can meet with Ms. Gauthier before the end of the January. Thank you very much. And should we work with you, Karen?
sorry.
Should we working with you? So Laura, have you met Karen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Can I, all those in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And next we have Diane Barner and Michelle with the Air Community Theater requesting their grant community that be deferred for 2023. Go ahead, ladies. You have to sing your presentation. Okay.
Michelle will do that. I won't do that.
Ready? Yeah. Mayor Foxton, fellow councilmen, thank you so much for having us here tonight. My name is Diana Barber and I am president of Air Community Theater. This is Michelle Tomaso. She is vice president of Air Community Theater. First of all, we'd like to thank you very much for your gracious grant of $18,000 for our 2022 season. We truly appreciate your help. I'm sure you can imagine how difficult it was in the decision to cancel our fall production this year. However, we're here and we're standing tall, and we're going to give you some background, some feedback as to what happened, and then we'd like to discuss the remaining grant with you and what we can do with that going forward. So I'm going to pass it over to Michelle, who did this great presentation that you received previous to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for letting us share these facts and figures with you, which there are a lot in the deck. So you may have noticed, if you've reviewed the deck in advance of this meeting, any of our stumbling blocks or any of our challenges are highlighted in red text. So as we go along, if there are any questions, as I skim through some of these slides, please let me know, or we can leave it till the end. Okay, so Air Community Theater is a little over 1 year old, and we feel very proud that we have reached our goal to meet all of our vision points. I don't know whose speech that was, but it was very lovely. And we just like to, as Diana said, stand tall. We did have a lot of success in our first year of existence. Our first show Altogether Now, we sold out. It was 240 tickets. And we do audience and cast and crew surveys at the end of each show. And 100% of those who attended Altogether Now said that they would return for another show. And our overall score was 91%. You can see that's a photo of our cast and crew. We had 33% which were local cast members and 20% which were cast and crew. And this is just some of our accolades from our audience survey. Our second show was Steel Magnolias. We had 5 shows in total. We sold almost 400 tickets. And 98% of those who were surveyed in the audience said that they would attend another production. So we feel very confident that the community is there to come to our shows and they are waiting for the next one. And we had a 90% score overall. It was a smaller cast, but 29% were local cast members and almost 40% were cast and crew. And from the first show to the second show, our volunteer base, especially from locals, has increased. We do have a total membership of 72 members. They are paying members $25 a year, and that's our little ad there. First year, 2021, we had 33 members. We increased 39, and we do have a membership campaign scheduled for January. Another few successes which we're proud of is we did a collaboration with local businesses. We reached out to a number of businesses, and 3 expressed interest in collaborating with us. Our goal was to bring the ticket buyers who are coming into town to frequent our businesses or introduce them to our local businesses. We were accepted as members of the Western Ontario Drama League. From a theater perspective, that's a pretty big deal. And we've already been taking advantage of some of their training. We attended a grant workshop very recently. And some of you were at Music in the Park, and we performed at two of those opportunities. We are also recently nominated for community collaboration with the Chamber and North Dumfries Community Awards. And of course, we have to acknowledge our sponsors and our supporters. Could not have had such a successful first year without all of these generous folks. So, bah humbug, exactly. Those are our sentiments. We were unable to move forward with our fall show, and as I mentioned, some of our challenges are highlighted here. Back when we started planning, so if you can imagine, we started planning in April for a November show. It takes a lot of preparation. At that point in time, we did have a director and a choreographer on board, so we did purchase the rights. We are awaiting a refund for those rights. Unfortunately, our director moved and our choreographer moved to another theater company. So we did a call out for a creative team, and our biggest challenge was a musical director. We cannot have a musical without a musical director. However, we did attain a new director through our contacts in other theater groups. We, in the month of May, also approached 4 choreographers with no success. In May, we began a diligent search for musical director. We approached set designers, and in June, we had to make the decision to delay our auditions until September. We can't have auditions for a musical without a musical director. What that resulted in was we weren't able to approach the local schools because Scrooge has a number of children in the cast. Also, what happened was other folks auditioned for shows with other community theaters and committed to those. So we really missed the boat with having to delay those auditions. However, we continued the search for musical director and set designer. We got a really experienced, established choreographer. That was in July. Kept plugging away on that musical director. You can see that list. We reached out to 36 individuals. So, and it wasn't a case of we sent out 36 emails. We would approach one and then wait for their reply and then so on and so forth. In August, happy news, we got a musical director, and then in September, she resigned 1 week before our auditions. So we were able to convince her to come to the auditions, which sadly had a very low turnout. So we had approximately, we had 15 people audition for over 20 roles. We looked at inventive ways to work with that number of people. We looked at gender bending, have females play male roles, vice versa. We looked at maybe one actor could play 2 roles, but we simply did not have the demographic from those folks who auditioned. We needed children, we needed young adults, we needed older adults. So then we thought we could do A Christmas Carol, just the play. And the same director was on board. Our stage manager resigned for personal reasons. We could not get a set designer, and we had to make the really impossible decision to cancel our show. So it was a lot of really diligent work trying to get this off the ground. And one other thing I wanted to mention too is what we were hearing from some performers, because Diana and I belong to many other theater groups as well, and have, I don't know, I hate to say it, Diane, probably 50 years of theater experience between us. What we were hearing from some performers, they're not ready. They were not ready to audition for a show with a big cast. And also some people had moved on. It's like, well, sorry, we're already dedicated to another show. Or we decided to travel the world because we didn't think theater was going to come back or anything was going to open up. So we also wanted to call out, we have had some changes on our board of directors. If you look at this chart with the current board and former board members, the only local feet on the ground board of directors we have right now are Diana and I. Our treasurer moved to Sudbury. Our secretary, unfortunately, has been unavailable since June because of a family illness. And our beloved founding member Vivian is less and less available due to personal illness. And I know she wouldn't mind us telling you that. And we've had 3 resignations on the board. So that also has been a challenge. Our financials are pretty good, actually, though. And thank you once again to the Township of North Dumfries for that $18,000 grant. You can see our details there from the 2 invoices, one for Steel Magnolias and one for Scrooge. So we did use township facilities for our auditions. And what we have determined is there's a remaining balance of that grant of about $9K. So that's what we're also here to discuss, whether that goes back into the township or whether it can be deferred to the following year. We refunded the Region of Waterloo Arts Fund grant because that was specifically for our band. And there's a decision pending on the $7,500 from Cambridge and North Dumfries Community Fund and also from an anonymous donor. The $9,800 there will still remain within Air Community Theatre because we are in the process of buying a soundboard. So we don't have to rent that every single time we do a production. Lessons learned. I think one of the biggest lessons learned is for top talent, as far as directors, choreographers, musical directors, people do not want to do this for free. Very similar to the previous presentation where artists really want to be paid. No one has been paid in the past with Air Community Theatre. We are entirely volunteer. However, we believe that that was one of the big stumbling blocks in getting a musical director. So what we have learned is we need to pay honorariums to attract and maintain these key roles. Director and stage manager will be needed for every production, regardless of whether it's a play or a musical. However, a musical director and choreographer is only required for musicals. We also have learned that we have to engage people earlier. You can see we started in April. We thought that was early enough. We have to get people committed into these key roles early. And this time we are going to be working on our spring and fall show concurrently at the same time. And we also want to develop contracts and perhaps give an advance to these key roles in order to deter them to move to other theater groups, which has happened to us in this exact scenario. And also so that they feel valued. We do want to do much larger ad campaigns for these key roles and auditions with one of our sponsors, Era News, and social media. So moving forward, and we stand here still positive. We are, as I mentioned, doing our membership drive in January 2023. We are looking at producing Little Women in the spring. That, of course, depends on whether the rights are available. And since we put together this presentation, actually, we went back and we reviewed the feedback from our audience surveys. And top of the list is comedies and musicals. So please don't hold us to Little Women, because we feel that we really want to give the community what they want to see. Little Women does not fit into that. However, it has a lot of name recognition and a small cast, and some advantages that we can borrow costumes, we can use the same set, and I would direct for free. And in fall 2023, we want to go ahead with a musical, and it could be possibly Scrooge. Our director and our choreographer are from last year are still on board. They're very excited. And did I miss a slide? And so as far as working together, how can we work together with the township, who has been incredibly supportive? And we would, love to have the continuation of that support, especially from the township employees who have been wonderful. And, the understanding of patients that we're just over a year old, like we turned a year old in August. So there does need to be, we believe some discussion as to the remainder of the balance of that 18K for 2022, whether it goes back into the township, which is totally understandable, whether we apply anew for 2023, or whether the remaining balance gets deferred to our 2023 season. Opportunity to assist us with the recruitment of board members, especially local board members and volunteers. That would be incredibly helpful. And we just want to thank you once again towards the success of Air Community Theatre, because we certainly could not have come this far and have the successes that we have without the township support.
Thank you, ladies. I was mentioning how you've come so far in 1 year. To have sold out shows back to back is amazing. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Austin.
Mayor, through you to Andrew, one question I had. The donation of the rental hall, stuff like that, when that was, when the theater group could not use that anymore, and we had set all that, we had allotted all that time to them, were we able to recover any of that by renting it to other users? Or have staff figured out what portion of that $18,000 we actually lost because we weren't renting it, because we kept that time set aside for the theater group?
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Oster. The vast majority of the rental time was actually in the Roseville Community Center. For the most part, that's where the practices and rehearsals occurred for Air Community Theatre. Very rarely did we have bookings in that space, largely because of a slow return in the community from COVID. So we really didn't lose anything by Air Community Theatre not being able to perform their second show. As it relates specifically to the ACC, there would be 2 weeks blocked off, one for each of the two performances. And for the second performance, Scrooge, that was canceled, we were able to rebook a portion of that time for people that got displaced. Because we would normally have our weekly users, and with the show being canceled, we went back to some of those regulars and asked if they would like their time slots for that week, which had previously been blocked out.
Madam Mayor, I have a question for the treasurer, Mr. Ross, through you to Christina. What is our policy with regards to unclaimed grants? Can we transfer it over to next year, or do we have to put it back into this year's budget and then reapply next year?
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor Roman, typically in the past, when groups have not been able to use their time, we have left it as unallocated and transferred it to a reserve for future community grants. And then that has allowed us to build the grant in the next year to fund the grant program for the following year. And we've encouraged those groups that for whatever reason couldn't use it to reapply.
Any other questions, councilors?
I just have a comment. I just want to tell Diana and Michelle that I went to both your productions and they were very well done. I was looking forward to Scrooge. Glad that it canceled, and I would attend Little Women if you did it.
Oh,
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, can I have the motion, please?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that the delegation of Diana Barber and Michelle DiDamaso, Air Community Theatre, did I say that right?
Yes.
Be received with thanks, and that the Air Community Theatre be encouraged to submit a community grant application for consideration as part of the 2023 budget process.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Now, we will now move into committee of the whole. Can I have the motion, please? Councilor Rowland.
Myself, like Councilor Oxner, that Council adjourned to sit as a video of the whole.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof in the committee of the whole? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry, hang on a second. Is there any member of council who would like to? So any member of council would like to speak on any reports in finance function? And if so, please ask that man be removed. Seeing none, can I have the motion, please?
Moved by myself, second by Council Rowland, and that the committee of the whole recommend the following items be approved as presented as outlined in the staff reports listed in the finance function area. 10.1.1A, report number FIN 24/2022, financial update, September 30th, 2022. That report FIN 24/2022, financial update to September 30th, 2022 be received.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Is there any member of council who wish to speak on the development of services functions? And ask the item to be held. Seeing none, can I have the motion, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Rowland, that the committee of the whole recommend the following items be approved as presented as outlined in the staff reports listed in the development services function area. 10.1.2A, report number PB 39/2022, release of the holding symbol, zoning bylaw amendment for 160 Northumberland Street, file number ZC 822. 10.1.2B, report number PD 40/2022, proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 3081 Old Beverly Road, file number ZC 622. 10.1.2C, report number PD 41/2022, proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 1589 Roseville Road, file number ZC 722. And 10.1.2D, report number PD 42/2022, demolition permit, removal of listed heritage resource for 179 to 211 Northumberland Street, or 197 to 211 Northumberland Street.
I believe Andrew and Head would like to speak. Andrew, would you like to speak?
Hi, good afternoon, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council and staff. My name is Andrew Head from Dryden Smith and Head Planning Consultants. I'm here on behalf of Air Coastlines. I don't have a presentation prepared because staff have done an excellent job on preparing. Sorry, just starting my video now. Staff have done an excellent job preparing the staff report, and I'm just here in support in case there's any questions or if I can be of assistance in any way. I thank you, and I wait your resolution on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilors, all those in favor? Or do you have a question? Go ahead, Councilor.
Can I have a clarification, please? The report PD 41/2022 report 10.12C. Can you confirm the address on Roseville Road, please?
That's not my file.
No, Andrew, we're talking staff.
1589.
Report-
1589, yes,
Okay, the report here is like 1889.
that was a typo, our apologies.
Okay,
Where's
the
that?
actual motion says 1589.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying my report says 1889.
Yeah, so that's fine, though. It is 1589.
So 1889 is not approved.
It was a very good year. 1889 was not fun.
Building monster home now this week and he just got approved.
So if the motion is for 1589 for clarification, so all those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Good catch, Councilor. Next up is the community services functions. Is there any item anyone wishes to call? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rowland, that the committee of the whole recommend the following items be approved, presented as outlined in the staff reports listed in the community services function area. 10.1.3A, report number REC 27-2022, Air Centennial's Blue Line Club Section Expansion. 10.1.3B, report number REC 28-2022, waiving of the daily mobile food vendor fee for the CP Holiday Train Event. 10.1.3C, report number PW 24-2022, Always Stop Control, Morrison Road and Sheffield Road. 10.1.3D, report number PW 25-2022, project cost adjustment, Public Works half-ton truck, pickup truck. 10.1.3E, report number PW 26-2022. Dedicate as a public highway, Robert Woolner Street. 10.1.3F, report number PW 27-2022, no parking, various roads in new subdivision.
Thank you, Councilor Grassley. All those in favor? Carried. Next, we have the government and protective services functions. Anybody wish to report the report? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
Myself by Councillor Oxner, that the committee of the whole recommend the following items be approved as presented as outlined in the staff report listing governance protective services function area 10.1.4A, report number FT 10-2022, fire department incident support response summary, September and October 2022, the FT report 10-2022 be received with the receipt.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Motion to reconvene into open session, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that committee of the whole is hereby adjourned and the council meeting be called back to order.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Consent agenda, adoption of the committee of the whole resolutions, please.
Thank you, Mayor Buxton. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Gillespie. That council adopt the resolutions as presented by a committee of the whole dated November the 7th, 2022. 1, report number FIN 24-2022, financial update, September the 30th, 2022. 2, report number PD 39-2022, release of the holding symbol, zoning bylaw amendment for 160 Northumberland Street, file number ZC 822. 3, report number PD 40-2022, proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 3081 Old Beverly Road, file number ZC 622. 4, report number PD 41-2022, proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 1589 Roseville Road, file number ZC 722. 5, report number PD 42-2022, demolition permit, removal of listed heritage resource from 197 to 211 Northumberland Street. 6, report number Rec. 27-2022 Air Centennial's Blue Line Club section expansion. 7, report number Rec. 28-2022 waiving of daily mobile food vendor fees for the CP holiday train event. 8, report number PW 24-2022 Always Stop Control, Morrison and Sheffield Road. 9, report number PW 25-2022 Project Cost Adjustment, Public Works Half-Ton Pickup Truck. 10, report number PW 26-2022 Dedicate as a Public Highway, Robert Woolner Street. 11, report number PW 27-2022 No Parking, Various Roads in New Subdivision. 12, report number report number FD 10-2022 Fire Department Incident Response Summary for September and October 2022.
Thank you. Councilors, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have adoption of the minutes.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rowland, that the council approve the following minutes. Special council meeting minutes dated August 9th, 2022. Committee of the whole meeting minutes dated September 12th, 2022. Regular council meeting minutes dated September 26th, 2022. And special council meeting minutes dated October 4th, 2020.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Is there any questions on communications? Okay, we will start with Councilor Rowland, then Councilor McCreary, then Councilor Austin.
I have a question about 14.1.4, the correspondence with Carolyn, thanks.
Go ahead.
I met with Ms. Clancy and along with Lee Robinson a couple weeks ago, and there seems to be some validity to the question that she's raising. So I'm wondering if it's possible to arrange for some sort of neighborhood meeting where I can meet residents between, let's say, Scotts Creek and Hunt Street, the area to discuss changing of the parking restrictions in front of Cedar Creek School. I'm wondering what the process would be for that.
Well, I would say you would go through CO McNeely and Lee and see if that can be arranged. But so justification, I thought there was a little bit as well. So I'm pleased to see it going that way.
Well, big change there is we built that lay bay in front of the school. So it seems to be some congestion with school buses. So I think we look at the CNSU community thinks as well.
Exactly. Well done. Councilor McCreary.
I have a question about 14.1.3, and this is correspondence received from Steve Clark, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, regarding public consultation for the land use planning process. And I read that piece of correspondence and I really can't understand why we received it. What does it mean? Does anyone know, or can someone shed some light on why we received this, what it means?
CO McNeely, you want to touch base?
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor McCreary, it appears that the minister is reminding municipalities there's more than one way to meet and consult with constituents on Planning Act applications. And he is reinforcing the various tools and methods that are available to municipalities in the discharge of their duties.
I thank the minister for that.
Councilor Austin.
It's not about the minister. It's the same item, 14.1.4 about Caroline Clancy. I was going to ask if we could look into this, because obviously there are certain residents that are not happy with that situation, and there seems to be validity to it. So I'm glad that Councilor Rollins have worked with Lee and staff are going to find out what we can do, and if everybody's happy with it, maybe we can come to a happy medium, and people that live up there can rest assured that we're listening.
Her comments made a lot of sense to me, so I think that we should be open-minded and really have an honest look at it. So I thank you both for that, and working with staff, we'll see what the outcome is. There was one I was going to bring up, the Amber Alert, and they wanted to expand it to other situations. I worry it will get too much. Right now, when the police have a missing person, they do Facebook and Twitter, they pass that around and it seems to work really well. But if somebody's got everything blowing up, their phones and everything else, all the time, I think it loses validity. So, I didn't feel it was a necessary thing to carry on. Councilor Austin.
I know down in Florida, for example, they have different color alerts. They have like silver alerts and stuff like that when they are on the lookout for different things. So maybe they can come up with something. Learn from people that are using different types of alert. But I agree with you. An Amber Alert, from what if I think of an Amber Alert, it's there's a child missing. And like you said, when you start putting it into a generalized category, it's kind of loses its panache, like its uniqueness.
Well, Amber Alert seems to be just abductions. But I think an Amber Alert should include missing children, and I mentioned that to police services. This was going far beyond in the letter that we received from the municipality. And I was concerned that people are already frustrated with the Amber Alerts when they get them, which I don't really understand. If a child's missing, I think we all should have a heads up. But I worry that it'd be too much of it. But I just thought I'd mention that in passing. Anything else? Councilor Gillespie?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was going on with 14.1.1, the speeding. One, again, I guess I would like to agree with that. If we can't have photo radar, maybe we can have increased speeding to kind of slow people down, which that will work, but I would like to agree with that.
I should tell you that I guess it got out that I was meeting with the minister in regards to speeding in especially rural municipalities. And several mayors have contacted me. And I would guess we're at about 25 mayors now that want to talk to the minister. It isn't just the speeding that's the issue. It's the courts handling the speeding tickets. But the one mayor that I'm working with, Creedman, there's a program where they can be fined and they can't take it to court. But then he said the issue is collections, or then maybe a collection agency would be. So this is all very new, all in the works, but it looks like it may be moving ahead. There's more and more municipalities jumping on board. So we'll see where that comes to, and I'll keep reporting to council.
That's a good idea, and noise on cars as well. Council.
Madam Mayor, I just have a question of clarification on 14.1.10. Regards to Bill 23, maybe CEO can brief us at the council meeting about how Bill 23 can affect the ROPA 6 and all that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to Councillor Rowland. Yes, staff is working its way through the omnibus bill. There are 7 or 8 pieces of independent legislation that are being amended through Bill 23, Build Homes Fast Track. In varying degrees, there are significant portions of each of the pieces of legislation that are being amended that will affect Waterloo area municipalities, including North Dumfries. And staff is preparing a report as well as implications as it relates to staffing resources, new responsibilities that will now be empowered to council if the act comes into, if it's proclaimed as presented, as well as changes to our various planning documents. We're looking at a significant overhaul to the land use planning process, probably 50 years worth of planning policies being significantly altered.
Just for your information, AMO got a hold of me, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and they have a committee that is an advisory committee that looks at policy. And they've involved me in this advisory committee, and today we studied Bill 23. And we've been booking an appointment with the subcommittee to speak to the subcommittee at the province in regards to Bill 23. Any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? And you just have to say 14.1.1 to 14.1.10.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Rowland, that council receive for the purposes of information the following items, 14.11 to 14.110.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Motion, please, to receive the three advisory committee updates there, please.
One is also the council to the left. The council received the first information of the following items, regional lifestyle advisory committee meetings. Minutes dated May 18, 2022 and September 21st, 2022. Economic development advisory committee meetings dated June 1st, 2022, September 7th, 2022. Planning and sustainable development advisory committee meeting minutes dated June 8th, 2022, and September 14th, 2022.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. The motion to receive in the regional minutes and
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Gillespie. The council received for the purposes of information the following items. Regional council minutes dated October the 4th, 2022 and October the 12th, 2022. Grand River Accessibility Advisory Committee minutes dated September the 22nd, 2022.
all those in favor? Carrie, thank you. First and second reading of the bylaws, please. Oh, is there any mayor's reports? Any other business, Council Austin?
That one, I've been approached several times, I've talked several times actually with the owner of the dollar store in here. He continues to have issues with cars long-term parking. On the street out front of the store. So he asked me if we could maybe get a hold of the region or get either bylaw or whoever's responsible for keeping an eye on how long and what vehicles are there. 'Cause he was pointing at several vehicles and said it's been sitting there for 2 days and hasn't moved. So some of them are residents. However, he was talking about one resident that may now have like 3 or 4 cars that are parked consistently and constantly in the same areas. And then he made another reference to another vehicle that has been there for a long time. So he's a little bit frustrated with the amount of parking, lack of parking, I should say, for his customers because of people parking long-term, people working, claiming people also working in the Queens or Queens. On the Queens property. Will always be known as the Queen. They're parking on the street too, which I don't know if that's a valid comment or not, but I'm just reporting what he's asking. So if we could find someone that's gonna check into that and keep maybe a closer eye on that, is that the region that has to do that?
Our bylaw has been in it constantly, and they've gotten there and the vehicle's moved.
So nobody's marking tires or anything?
They're constantly watching, the bylaw has been on top of this. Now, they have been dealing with a few situations that have been problems, that have been long time problems, and they're working through that. But when he first approached me about this, he assumed the parking in front of his store was exclusively for his store. I had to explain to him that he doesn't have reserved parking for his customers. So it's for anybody. But CEO McNeely, do you want to follow up, please?
So, Madam Mayor, through to Councilor Oster. Yes, bylaw is very much aware of the situation. The owner of the dollar store has been in constant contact with township staff. When they've attended, the vehicles have either been moved or when we mark them with chalk, we go back 3 hours later or 2 hours as the case may be, depending upon where on Stanley Street they're parked, the vehicle is moved. May have only moved one stall, but the vehicle has moved and therefore it has deemed to reset the clock in terms of the permissive allowance. But it is something that they are monitoring. It's the only individual on Stanley Street that's been raising the concern about curbside parking, but it has been monitored and is continuing to be monitored.
Thank you. And like to your comment about he doesn't have reserved spaces out front. I think he understands that from what my conversations with him. But it's no different than we talked about years ago from Northumberland Street when we asked the people that were working to park back down by the lawn bowling area. Because even though it's not reserved, it's just common courtesy that if you have somebody who doesn't walk very well or has any kind of a handicap or whatever, that there are no stalls for them to park at. They have to park up the road and walk all the way down the road. That's going to discourage business to the downtown. That's always been our concern for quite a while, that there was too many, because there's so many businesses downtown and not enough shopping, that people, the employees are parking there thinking that they don't need the spots because there's no shopping. Well, now there is some shopping and restaurants. And I just want to make sure that everyone has a fair chance to get to the businesses without having to, go about park too far away.
Totally understand, and he has been doing the 2-hour talk. And wasn't it nice to see all the new handicap spaces downtown? Well done. All right. Can I then have the first and second reading of the bylaw, please?
I can't say. The numbers. I just have one question.
Go ahead.
If I could mention that I had been inquiring about the tax situation at the Ontario Christian Bears, and just want to make sure that that is still being looked into, and we can get a good resolution on that problem.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Gillespie, we do have the information from MPAC. We are just asking for the confirmation of their email chain rather than just the spoken word. Because there appears to be an issue in terms of miscommunication between the parties. But I would like to see the emails just to confirm that before I publicly release it.
Okay. Will I be updated? Thank you. Now. Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Osner, that the following bylaws be taken as read the first and second time. Bylaw number 3358-22. Bylaw number 3359-22. Bylaw number 3360-22. Bylaw number 3361-22. Bylaw number 3362-22. And bylaw number 3363-22.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Could I please have third reading of the bylaws?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Gillespie, that the following bylaw be taken as read a third time and finally passed. Bylaw number 3358-22, 3359-22, 3360-22, 3361-22, 3362-22, and 3363-22.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And can I have the motion to go into close, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Roman, the council moved into a closed meeting session at 7:14 p.m. under the Municipal Act, section 239 2D, to discuss: 1, report number CAO 31/2022, 2023 cost of living adjustment, labor relations or employee negotiations, and 2, report number CAO 32/2022, 5-year staffing forecast, labor relations or employee negotiations.
All those in favor? Okay.
Moved by myself, seconded by Council Osmer, that closed meeting session of council is completed at 8:05 PM and the open council meeting resumes.
All those in favor? Thank you. And next is business arising from the closed meeting of November 7th. Council Jens, please.
By myself, and by Councilor Oxner, that the treasurer, director of corporate services be directed to carry 2023 operating budget a 2.1% cost of living adjustment for all non-union staff, council members, and part-time firefighters effective January 1st, 2023, and that the chief administrative officer be directed to communicate 2023 cost of living adjustment as presented to non-union staff and part-time firefighters.
All those in favor? Hearing, thank you. And next one, Councilor Cruz.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Osner that the chief administrative officer be authorized to retain the continued services of RSM building consultants on an as-required basis to support the building division in the review of building permit applications and inspection services.
All those in favor? Hearing, thank you. And next, Councilor Gillespie.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rowland, that the chief administrative officer be authorized to initiate the recruitment of a manager of planning services in the immediate time period, and that the funding for this new full-time staff complement be pre-approved in advance of the consideration of the 2023 operating budget.
All those in favor? Hearing, thank you. And the contributory amendment, please. Councilor Ross.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that bylaw number 3364-22 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on November 7th, 2022. Be read a first, second, third time and finally be passed, signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Hearing, thank you. And the adjournment, please, Councilor Cruz. Your last adjournment. Do we have a drum roll? Carry on.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Gillespie that whereas business before this council meeting has been completed at 8:07 PM and be it resolved that this meeting adjourns and meets again on Monday, November the 21st at 7 PM for the inaugural council meeting.
All those